butterfly, bright and better in the sky. Feel the wind and come back close to fly. Just fly, fly.
Dear colleagues, we welcome you to the hall, so please have a seat.
Fly, fly, butterfly, bright and better in the sky. Feel the wind and come back close to fly. Just fly, fly.
Дякую, вибачте, у мене зараз нема карточки на... Дякую. Hi. Yes. Hello. Do you... You have a name tag somewhere, the next one, yes.
Yeah, probably here. I'm answering to the message. Better than that one.
That's not a very good question, is it? Particularly.
Well, he's involved and we do a lot of stuff that wants to live it. So
That's true.
if there is a gentleman order, we should be happy with it.
Yeah, I guess.
Nothing external, just like.
You're probably talking more about macro.
So I would like to welcome you on the Ukrainian Invest in Ukraine conference here in London. And first of all, I would like to have some administrative questions. Now we will welcome the video speech of the governor of Lviv, Andriy Sadovy. Then we will continue with the discussion on the of the speech of Mr. Kuzmenko, the Chargé d'Affaires Embassy of Ukraine to the United Kingdom. Then we will welcome Shavkia Kunar, the country head for Ukraine, for EBRD, for his welcome words, and then continue with the discussion with Andy Hunter and our great speakers. So I would like to welcome the video speech of our governor of Lviv, Andriy Sadovy.
Hi, my name is Andriy Sadovy. I am mayor of Lviv. I can tell a lot about Lviv, but investor can do it better. Please tell.
Thank you. My name is Theo Schnitvink. I am from the Netherlands. I opened an office here in IT and BPO outsourcing about 5 years ago. Today we are over 150 people, expanding into a new office, and next year I expect to be over 200 people. The reasons for coming to Lviv were strictly business oriented initially. A great international airport, great universities, so a great talent pool available for my business. Today, Lviv became a lot more for me. The city is incredibly beautiful, very nice people, and you can say that I fell in love with this city. I invite you to really come and take a look yourself, and I'm absolutely willing to meet you face to face to share my experiences and see if I can help you investing in Lviv.
See you in Lviv.
See you in Lviv.
Thank you, Mr. Sadovy.
Hi, my name is Andriy Sadovy. I am mayor of...
Introduce Mr. Andriy Kuzmenko. and for having a great presentation and some welcome words to the participants. Andrei, welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to you. This is my honor and privilege to deliver these messages here in this historical building, the walls of which have heard so bright thoughts of the brightest economical leaders of this country and abroad. Really, indeed, this is my pleasure and honor. I'm also pleased to welcome all of you at this conference, which is among the first ones abroad after the signing of the association agreement between Ukraine and the EU, which made the economical situation in terms of cooperation with the European institution absolutely new in quality. First of all, I would like also to take this opportunity to thank for well-known company A7 conferences for organizing this very important event, and in particular company's management partner Maria Barabash for doing this great job. I would like also to thank all of you, all investors, all people of practical business who came, in spite of this not very simple time for us, to be here, to think about Ukraine, to speak about Ukraine, and I hope, which is most important, to decide over the Ukraine. We are optimists. We are optimists about Ukrainian economy. We are optimists in terms of the international cooperation, and we are optimists in terms of bilateral trade and relations between Ukraine and United Kingdom. And we do consider all of you, the active people of this field, as the ambassadors of goodwill in the field of economy and mutually profitable business. It will be important to start with certain factological information with regard changes occurred in the Ukrainian both economy and the legal field with that regard. And of course it will be very important to start to deliver certain messages with regard to the association agreement, which was finally signed at the EU summit on 27th June in Brussels. You know, it was the signing of the political part of that agreement, but later on it was signed in full. And this is the expression of the will of the Ukrainian people to live in Europe, to cooperate in Europe, and actually to be adhered to the European civilization. It indeed has opened the new chapter in the history of my country. What does it mean, association agreement, and why we are so often talking about that? This is the really detailed plan of comprehensive modernization of the Ukrainian economy and society, actually, in line with the European values, standards we are adherent to. Namely, what does it mean? This is two-way removal of trade barriers, both from the EU side and from the Ukrainian side. Extensive harmonization of the Ukrainian trade laws, norms and regulations with the respective standards of the EU. Of course, this is not simple to implement such a comprehensive program. However, we do expect huge benefits for both the sides participating in its implementation. For Ukraine, and actually for the foreign investors, for the Western world, it means the free capital flows between Ukraine and other countries and general acceleration of the Ukrainian economy. A significant boost of Ukrainian agriculture and metal sectors due to the new export market. Yes, we do open the new market for our goods, and this market is extremely capable, great, and promising for us. It improved competition due to the reduced tariffs for the trade, for the business. Elimination of corrupt practices and bureaucratic barriers. Unfortunately, we have to be realistic, and we are not trying to shadow the truth. Ukraine is coping with the totalitarian past heritage, with the heritage of the previous power, and we are very serious about the total control in terms of transparent and honest business. So the elimination of corrupt practices, better protections for investors and intellectual rights due to improvement of the Ukrainian legislation. This is also the problem we were facing with last years, where actually the troubles for investors had place, and at that time Ukraine had not, let's say, proper ground, proper legislative basis to cope with. What else we have? A temporary EU unilateral system of autonomous trade preferences for Ukraine. It started actually since this May, which is also important for our country. And what is also important, we do have the trilateral talks initiated between the EU, Ukraine, and Russian Federation on practical issues with regard to the implementation of association agreement. I would explain what does it mean. You see, the situation in Ukraine right now is difficult, and actually the push and the boost for that was the decision of the Ukrainian people to live under the European rules and to choose the European civilization. Then the Russians trying to pursue Ukraine, come back to the huge hugs of the older brother, made all things we are witnessing now, including the direct military aggression. And among the tether for that was the alleged threat to the Russian economy from and after the implementation of association agreement. We are civilized people, we are in the EU. We decided just to explain for the Russians the reasons and the mechanisms, and just to eliminate the understanding of that threat. But the Russians decided that such negotiations with them could be considered as the opportunity to rewrite, to reconsider the association agreement. But it is clear enough that we can provide them all the information, all the guarantees, but non-single point, non-single dot or comma of that association agreement will not be reconsidered due to their request. Along with that, to ensure the successful implementation of the association agreement, we have already created the national program for the implementation of it. we expect that this document will be considered and adopted simultaneously with the ratification of the association agreement by the Ukrainian Parliament, Verkhovna Rada, and we do have already scheduled a timetable for that. We expect that mid-September it will be another milestone in our relations with the EU, and the association agreement in full will be ratified by the Ukrainian Parliament and the respective mechanism of its implementation to be adopted. But meanwhile, I would like just to remind you that the provisional application of the association agreement, and especially deep and comprehensive free trade area, it is expected to begin from the 1st of November this year, which actually one more time gave us enormous opportunities. As I told you, we are not in a very simple period of our history. We witnessing the direct involvement of Russia into the events in the east of our country, but we should be realistic. The nation is united, our goals are clear, motivation is enormous, and this crisis will be regulated very, very soon. But for that, and not just only for that, for the purposes of the implementation of the association agreement, for the purposes of refurbishment of all our economy, our, let's say, principle of business, it is necessary for Ukraine to obtain the technical assistance from international community. And we are happy to state now that this is the case. We do receive this assistance, which is enormously important for the Ukrainian economy right now. We will start with the main partner for us in the implementation of the association agreement in our European, let's say, dialogue, the European Commission. It is agreed to finalize, to provide Ukraine with 1.6 billion of micro-financial assistance package for us. It is important, and this is 1.6 billion of euro. This is a big amount of money to come to Ukraine. And moreover, we received the signals that the European Commission is ready to extend its assistance. IMF, this is the most comprehensive world structure, and it is approved 6.6 billion USD 2-year standby arrangements. We have already received first 2 tranches, and they are available for the Ukrainian government, and the total amount of them is 4.5 billions of USD. And yesterday it was the information in media that the next 2 tranches will be considered at the end of this year, and their amount be equal up to 2.7 to 2.8 billion of USD. It is approved a request of Kiev and combined 3rd and 4th tranches what we are talking about. This is very important for us, and we are grateful for this international financial institution. World Bank provide the country with up to 3.5 billion of USD in investments in this 2014. 3.5 billion would come on the top to ongoing investment and guarantee program of 3.7 billion USD. Our most friendly institution, financial institution in London here, which is European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. This is the main, actually, structural investor of Ukraine. We do appreciate the positive stance, the constructive way of cooperation with our country of this famous European institution. It's committed to provide Ukraine with nearly 5 billion euro in investments by the year 2020. It is ready to expand this when it will be required, and I would like one more time emphasize this institution remains among the largest regional institutional investors to the Ukrainian economy, which we do appreciate. And of course, this is a good opportunity to assure the representatives of the bank that Ukraine will extend all their capacities, will do its best for the most fruitful, most constructive, and most promising for both the sides cooperation. Last but not least, while talking about the assistance received and we are receiving, the United Kingdom government, it is committed to provide Ukraine with 10 millions of pounds, but what is important, these money to come for the technical assistance of improving the economy and business climate in Ukraine. So the potential effect will be much bigger, will be much more significant than these just figures. And we do appreciate the United Kingdom stance vis-à-vis Ukraine. And the logical conclusion of that contributions we expect to see this autumn. It is scheduled to have the donor conference in the Ukrainian capital, International Donor Conference on Ukraine. It aimed to provide additional funding necessary to finance recovery of the Ukrainian economy, to establish an international coordinated platform for assistance of Ukraine. We expect that the European Commission, the EU, to play a major part in planning and execution of this event, which promised us to make it relevant, effective, and significant. We expect also that their participation will include the wide list of international funds, financial organizations, and business entities, which also should make this fora valuable. This is really the very good chance for foreign investors to discover new opportunities to Ukrainian market after the association agreement entering into force. And of course, we expect that till that time, certain turbulences we are facing now will be solved. I also would like to inform you that by the order of the President of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, in July this year, numerous task forces were set up tasked with developing a practical recovery strategy for Ukrainian economy. And yesterday, by the way, it was a very interesting announcement that the task force for cooperation with the custom union was disbanded by the decision of the President of Ukraine. Ministry of Economy, Development and Trade of Ukraine, it already developed a set of comprehensive instrumental emergency measures with the main objectives at recovering the private sector of the economy through deregulation, elimination of the red tape and regulatory pressure on business we were talking before and still fighting with. Export promotion, mainly through creation of Ukraine's own export credit agency. Small and medium business support by provision of specialized credit lines. Tax reform, mostly through streamlining of the existing system and privatization. It is interesting to learn probably for you that so far nearly 164 national companies are being prepared for the privatization, which could allow us to receive additional and significant amount of money. National Bank of Ukraine, what is this institution doing now? It temporarily raised the refinancing rate to 12.5%, which we expect and we sure will help us to cope with the certain negative consequences of the situation in the financial field. It continues to work closely with private banking sectors and institutional cooperation in Ukraine. Here we also, first of all, would speak about the IMF, World Bank, EBRD, to further expand the available arsenal of the financial and regulatory measures vis-à-vis the Ukrainian economy aimed at their soonest recovery. By the way, I'm happy to tell you that thanks to these measures, the government expects the economy to rebound and return to growth by the next year. According to the latest forecasts of the Ministry of Economy, Development and Trade of Ukraine, the GDP of Ukraine next year will start to grow, and the expected growth is, well, up to 0.3–0.2%. It's not a big figure, but the significance is the fact of growing of the investments. Minister of Finance of Ukraine told you working closely with the international institution organization, and we expect that these cooperation will provide us even with more significant figures, probably to voice later on this forum next year or at the next occasion. Development and strengthening of the economical cooperation meets the strategic goals and aspirations of the United Kingdom and Ukraine, of Ukraine and the international institutions, of Ukraine and the EU. And this is the streamline in which we are acting, actually. Many British companies continue to successfully operate in Ukraine, and among them I would like to mention this distinguished line: GSK, Shell, JKX, Regal Petroleum, Continental Pharma Groups, British America, and many, many, many more. In this hall, actually, some months ago, it was a commemorative ceremony devoted to Welsh entrepreneur Mr. Hughes, who was the founder of city Donetsk and actually the founder of the heavy industry in the east of our country. This is a good example, let's say, of the direct British involvement, historical involvement into the Ukrainian economy. As far as the bilateral trade is concerned, I'm happy to state that the United Kingdom still remains one of the leading partners of Ukraine in economical terms. Well, of course, it is also the partner in the political field. It is currently ranks as the 9th biggest trade partner of Ukraine, up from 11th place the year before. So the positive changes could be witnessed. As of the end of the first half of this year, the United Kingdom is the 6th biggest foreign investor in the Ukrainian economy. UK invested more than $2.4 billion USD for the Ukrainian market, which is important and which makes this contribution very, very visible and valuable for the Ukrainian economy and actually for the economies of both the countries. That is why we encourage the countries, the continued presence of British and British companies and British capital in Ukraine, and the government is motivated to do its best to ensure the work as respectful as the law-abided enterprises at the Ukrainian market. Just before kind of conclusion, to conclude, we are sure that this forum creates a new opportunity. It will create the new comprehensive picture by presenting investments and commercial opportunities of private and corporate sector in Ukraine. This is very important to create and to continue, let's say, cherish this platform for business, for opportunity, and for dialogue with Ukraine. Of course, our main strategic feature of the business and economic climate will be the entering into force of the association agreement. This entering constitutes by itself the important step toward achieving the strategic goal of Ukraine, obtaining full-fledged membership in the EU. Just probably it is relevant now to tell you that probably not just the membership in the EU, but in other European and Euro-Atlantic structures will be the goal of Ukraine, and the Ukrainian government has submitted to the Parliament, Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, the draft law on annihilation of their non-blocked status. So it, of course, will also have certain practical implications for further activity, economical activity, investment, and business activities in my country. We are sure that political and economic stability of Ukraine guarantees safety and stability in Eastern Europe and Europe as a whole. We are honest. We are facing not very simple time, but the nation, 45 million nation, could not be defeated. But the 45 million of nations which made it choose could not be prevented from its implementation. And we are also sure that the European family, which Ukraine belongs to, will do its best to assist Ukraine, to help Ukraine, and to benefit from the bilateral cooperation with our country. Probably that is all for the moment, and I do appreciate your attention, and thank you so much.